The Innovators Network.
Welcome to the Killer Innovation Show, the longest continuously produced podcast in history. Each week, Phil McKinney brings you the insights and strategies to amplify your creativity and innovation skills. Here's your host, Phil McKinney. This episode is sponsored by Zoom. With Zoom, you can streamline your communication, collaboration, and creativity all in one place. Zoom is the market-leading platform that provides video meetings, voice, webinars, and chat across desktops, phones, tablets, and conference room systems. To learn more about Zoom and sign up for your free account, visit killerinnovations.com/Zoom.
Welcome, innovation enthusiasts, to another episode of Killer Innovations. Today, we delve deep into a fascinating journey of transformation. The story of Calix. Once a hardware-centric company, Calix has successfully reinvented itself as a dynamic force in the realm of cloud and software-centric solutions. This paradigm shift was not a walk in the park. It was a product of 10 years of relentless dedication and a whopping $1 billion investment, and a key focus on enhancing the customer experience. In this episode, I had the privilege of hosting Ken Gralick, Senior Vice President of Sales at Calix, in the mobile studio during the recent SCTE Cable Tech Expo show. Ken shared eye-opening insights into Calix's continuous commitment to innovation and customer service optimization. We'll explore their Service Cloud and Ops Cloud solutions, game changers reshaping customer service with the power of data insights. We'll also discuss the Adrenaline Project, a testament to remote collaboration's power and its impact on hardware capabilities. And further, we'll delve into Calix's unique innovation strategy. Their approach is not limited to a specific customer or product, but revolves around a broader market need. An epitome of this strategy is their cutting-edge product, SmartTown, a mission aimed at bridging the glaring digital divide in U.S. rural and tribal areas. This episode is a must-listen for anyone interested in the intersection of innovation, transformation, and ethics in our rapidly evolving technological landscape. Join us as we unlock the secrets behind Calix's evolution. But before we jump into this week's episode, follow, like, and share. Share us, like us, and follow on your favorite social media platforms. We're on all of them. And this is a great way to help us reach more people and spread the word about the podcast. If you're not receiving our free weekly newsletter, visit philmckinney.com, click on membership to sign up. Now, let's dive in to this week's episode. So Ken, here we are at SCTE Tech Expo in Denver. How's the show going for you?
It's going great. It's been busy, and there's lots of innovation going on in the space. We're definitely having a great time.
So you guys have a booth here?
Yeah, we do. We've
Okay.
got a nice booth, and it's been packed shoulder to shoulder the whole time, which is awesome.
I was talking to some people yesterday, some of the speakers, they were Cable Labs employees, and they were all excited because those sessions are jammed. In fact, I heard a rumor that the fire marshal was checking the rooms out because we were packed and standing room only, and the fire marshal was worried about room occupancies. So it's crazy. This show is just high energy.
There's lots of energy out there.
So talk a little about Calix. A lot of people, maybe my listeners, don't know who you are and what you guys do.
Yep. So Calix is a company that's been around 24 years. We are a company that has made a transformation. We historically were a broadband hardware provider, but over the last decade, we've invested about $1 billion, and we've transformed our business from hardware to cloud and software. And with that, we're really focusing on helping our customers operate their networks more efficiently, use automation, and now we're starting to do more managed services on top of that. So bringing along the idea of broadband is important. You got to have the best technology, but what you do with it and how you monetize it and what customer experience you enable is something we're really focused on.
So what would be the most common use case of how, let's call it a cable operator, would use your services?
So we work with a lot of cable operators. Right now, basically what we've done is we've innovated with Cable Labs, and we've created something we call DPX, which allows your cable operators to provision our PON system through your DOCSIS. So it makes our PON look like a cable modem. So we're able to work with your operators, enable the provisioning and the operations through DOCSIS using the standard back office interfaces, and from that deploy an OLT and an ONT into your architecture, run it, operate it, and then put on top of there our cloud services that have 3 analytic engines to help you run your network better, service your customers better, and engage your customers better. And then on top of that, we've got a series of managed services that we deploy to help the customers increase their ARPU. So we both help them increase the ARPU with the managed services, and then decrease the operating expense through the automation in the clouds.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the challenge. Everything's going to software.
Everything's going to software. The software's eating the world, right?
Yeah. Who was it? Mark Andreessen said that or whatever. Mark was on the board at HP when I was CTO, so yeah, I used to hear that one all the time.
Heard it, hit it more than once, yeah.
Yeah, and HP's a very hardware-centric company, so still, both of them, HP Inc. and HP Enterprise. Yeah, but software, particularly in the network, right? The work on software-defined networks has been going on for a decade.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's been AT&T did some early experiments in it, but then didn't really finish all that out. They kind of paused it to wait.
Did a reset again, right?
Yeah. Well, all the big guys, big guys, and they don't quite have the wallet they thought that they need to really make it real. Do you think, in the case of the networks, that software's ready for that? Do you think you could do something like those kinds of things at really big scale? Yeah,
so it depends on where you're talking, right? So what we do with our cloud is we're focused on the customer's experience. We aren't orchestrating the entirety of a large network. We're really focused on enabling the customer experience, which is from the central office where the OLT is, as well as the layer 2 and layer 3 routing, anything subscriber aware in the central office through the access network to the home, to the gateways, and then managing the applications in the home. So that's where we focus. And in that area, like I said, we started this journey in 2011, and we've invested over $1 billion in this foundation, in the platform, to create it. And it really, I'd say the platform really kind of had an inflection point in 2001, where it all kind of came together, 2021, where it all kind of came together and started bringing a lot more value to our customers. So it was a 10-year investment from 2011 to 2021 that it took us to get to that point. But now the clouds and the analytic engines that are in the clouds are generating good insights. They're helping our customers resolve customer problems quicker, reduce truck rolls, things like that. We're able to get a lot more insight out of the network and what the customers are doing so that we can then engage the customers properly. An example, if you've got a household that's got 2 people, an empty nest, why send them any collateral around types of things around protecting your children, right? So you can get data on what's going on in the house, inform the way you engage with your customer based on the data that's there, right? And every operator has that data, they just don't have access to it. So that's what we've built, is this platform that gives our customers access to different data and helps them be a whole lot more efficient. So I think in that segment, yes, the whole concept of orchestration and orchestrating a nationwide or global network with all its elements, I haven't seen that come to fruition yet.
Right. Yeah, I think it's still a work in progress.
Yeah.
Still, the dream of the future, right, if it all comes together. And the whole purpose of software is the fact that you can reply and respond much quicker than you can.
Absolutely.
Jetting, at HP, we did 40 million laptops a year. It's not like you're going to stop mid-production and change something and then have to retool the entire factory line versus you can do something like software. Yeah. What does this do for the skill sets? Because if you look at, your own organization, you guys went through 10 years of transformation, coming from a hardware company to being software focused. That's a whole different kind of skill set you have to have. And then, but also to take advantage of it, the skill sets at the operators is changing.
So yeah, we inside of Calix, I'll start there and then I'll talk about the operators because that's really what matters. But inside of Calix, we've gone through a lot of transformation over that time. Carl Russo, I believe you know, he was our CEO for a long time, and he brought in our current CEO, Michael Weaning, who came in I think 2016 or 2017. He came from Salesforce.
Oh, okay.
So we brought Michael in as the president of sales, helped started transforming the way we engage our customers, and then he became the president of the whole business, and now he's the CEO of Calix. And basically, he's helped us go from that based on his experience at Salesforce, brought a lot of Salesforce people in, and really helped us transform what we do and move away from that hardware company. And it's been, it's not a one and done thing, right? Over the 7 years, every year we have to change something, we have to tweak something because you learn and you adapt and you change and you keep changing. And so it's a constant thing, and we're on that path, but we're well down the path of bringing value. On the customer side, the thing that we're really helping with, especially Support Cloud or Service Cloud, we just changed the name to Service Cloud and Operations Cloud, by giving a customer service rep, in the case of Service Cloud, data about what's going on in the house and having a history of what's been happening. I mean, if a house has done 5 speed tests in the last day and hit their service limits, the support rep sees that on a screen.
Okay.
So it makes that support rep a whole lot more capable to troubleshoot because data that's relevant to that subscriber is stored, saved, and then presented when that engagement with the subscriber happens. Mm-hmm. So it makes those, we found it one, reduces the call times considerably, but we also found that we can bring up a new customer service rep to speed and enable them on a quicker basis.
Right.
On the Ops Cloud side, it's more about the network. Right, and how do you operate the network? And it's about provisioning and automation inside the network, and that again helps those technicians be a whole lot more efficient. So it's bringing a different level of capability to our customers to help them be more effective and more efficient.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean, one of the things we hear from the operators a lot is as the network becomes more software, the next generation of skill set, right? Cable, like a lot of industries, is in the early ramp up of retirements. If you look at the age of the industry, right, and what skill sets do you hire for, given what's happening, the transformation of the industry? How big is Calix now?
We this year will cross the $1 billion in revenue. Like I said, we've been around 24 years. We got 1,600 employees.
Okay.
So pretty big.
Yeah.
More importantly, we got 1,800 customers that we work with and we enable, and we're really happy to be helping them with their business, right? And we're very focused on their customers' experience.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So how does within Calix, because for instance, we got to know each other because we did a co-innovation project together within Calix and Cable. Talk a little bit about that, the Calix and Cable Labs collaboration.
Well, so there was a collaboration around DOCSIS and DPX that I talked about, which really allows the ability to provision the PON networks inside of the DOCSIS back office. The other one that we worked on, Adrenaline Project.
Right.
That was actually one that we worked on when I was at Arison.
Oh, that's right.
And I worked with Mickey and Bilal and a few other people on your team.
Mark Bridges and...
all those guys.
Right.
And what we did there was we were really focused on learning together, right? We identified an opportunity around hardware acceleration and the ability to use open source on standard off-the-shelf hardware. And we collaborated, and both our companies at that time really hadn't done as much with open source as we have now. This was 7-8 years ago.
Yep.
And the idea of doing hardware acceleration was still kind of new. So we started working on a project, and we didn't call it Adrenaline out of the gate. That became a name later when we got to marketing. But it was really focused on how do we take open source and the competencies of your team and the competencies from Aricent, now Capgemini, and bring them together and collaborate. And there was a tremendous amount of work that came out of that, and you mentioned earlier about remote work, and we were talking before the show about being on the road. Back when we started this, and like I said, it was about 7 years ago, we had people in India wanting to collaborate with you guys in your labs, but they weren't actually in the labs. So we had to go through and figure out some of the remote technologies. How do you enable that true collaboration across not only outside the office, but across continents? And it was a very interesting first step in the experiment. And then over time, we really got into building the Adrenaline project out, which still today is an open source project, really accelerating the hardware capabilities.
Yeah, it was again, like you said, it was an early attempt at hardware acceleration in the open source space on industry standards. Now, a lot of people are playing with it, but for us, when we do those kinds of co-innovation projects, it is about the learning.
Yeah.
For the partner, it may be an important new product or whatever, but for us as Cable Labs, our mission every day is to invent the future. We build no products and we sell no services.
Yep.
Kind of a unique role in the industry. But co-innovation, we find that as be one of the more exciting opportunities because we work with partners who are closer to the customers and what the customer's needs are. We will readily admit that we're in the lab, and therefore have a little bit of distance from, where the rubber meets the road. So let's go back on Calix. Do you guys, what's your philosophy on innovation? When you think about the stuff that you're going to work that's maybe further out than even customers are asking for, how does that fit within the model?
No, I'd love to chat about that, but I'd like to just go back real quick on the Adrenaline project. Right. I think there's another key part there that you talked about where the learning together. Right. Because at the time we were Aerosint, it was acquired a couple times, and as we went through the acquisitions, it was challenging. But during that time, what you talked about, which was learning, was exactly what we were striving for. Right. We had not done a whole lot, if anything, with open source before that. A little bit of dabbling here and there, but we did software services for our customers, and our customers were obviously moving to open source. So it became a really good project where we could collaborate and figure out how open source would work and how would we leverage it. It wasn't only the hardware acceleration, it was also a fundamental transformation toward open source that we were working inside of Aerosint became Capgemini. So that was really interesting and really gave a much higher value than what you said of creating a specific product that we would sell. Right. It became a transformational effort and helped move the company forward around open source in a way that we had hoped, but we didn't know exactly how it would move there, right? And what path it would take. Anytime you're innovating, you have to be a little patient. You have to understand things are going to move left and right. Some things are going to go fast. A lot of other things are going to go slower than you were hoping. And that patience through that experiment, if you will, to enable and allow the learnings to happen is always an entertaining and challenging time.
Well, entertaining for some people. For leaders, those are the ones who probably have the least amount of patience. And as I say, as you get higher in the organization, the less the patience.
Yeah, that's true.
And it can be tough inside if you're an innovator inside of an organization. Yeah. Because, you predicting, I'm going to invent 3:00 on Friday. No.
You can't block off 3 to 4 to do an invention.
And magically, I'm going to have this, brilliant new product idea. And leaders have a hard time, particularly if you're public and Wall Street pressures on the quarterly numbers. They can really be, and I can tell you from my experience at HP, having both be the CTO and run the innovation program office, you have to be a little schizophrenic.
I bet.
Between those two. So let's go back to Calix on what is the culture philosophy around innovation within Calix when you're thinking about things beyond what the customers are asking for?
Yep. So it's a great question. We innovate around the market needs. We have 1,800 different customers, and what we do is we talk to our customers. We have leadership advisory boards that are around the leadership, the general management of the company, CFO boards, marketing, operations, engineering, and these boards, they have 20 to 30 customers on each one of them. And through those boards, we get great customer inputs, right, and feedback and collaboration and insights to what they need. And what we do is we specifically will then innovate around what we have been able to decipher is the needs of the broader market. Mm-hmm. We stay away from innovating for a specific customer,
right?
Which can prove to be good for some companies, but at Calix we actually reject that as the right way of innovating, and we try to do a whole lot more. So that's where we really get our ideas from our customers. We just came out with a product, not to talk about products a lot, but we came out with a product called Smart Town, and that product was invented by a couple of our customers, the idea, and brought to our CEO, and then it's been evolved over the last 12 to 18 months into an actual solution that we can bring out, and it was the result of the pandemic. The idea was this one GM started, he realized that there were kids in his town that were going to McDonald's to get access to Wi-Fi, that they could do work.
There's a picture that was posted all over during COVID about the two sisters sitting outside the Taco Bell.
Yeah. And he wanted to do something about it, so that's where the idea that was the genesis of the idea. A gentleman named Brad Moline, and he brought it forward, and now we've created this concept that is going to allow us to work with our customers and work with schools to allow students access via Wi-Fi hotspots wherever they are. So whether it's at home,
so the operator opening up their Wi-Fi, because you can back authenticate them as students.
Authenticate them as students, have their own SSID, a separate network access point, and all that.
VPN and
protection,
privacy, all the privacy requirements
protection
for youth and all that.
Yep.
Interesting.
So that's a way we got to that point, and we brought in a bunch of other customers, and we innovated over the last 18 months to get to the point where we had that was a solution. And it's a pretty incredible way to do it.
Yeah, it is, and it's also one of what I would call one of those innovation projects that becomes a mission.
It definitely has.
Because, this is the conversation. We actually had we've had teams at Cable House focus on the digital divide, and that's the example I always use. I'm saying I don't want to see another picture of two sisters leaning against the wall next to a Taco Bell,
stealing
Wi-Fi to try to get their homework done,
right?
Because they don't have it at their house,
right?
It's just that's not right.
It's something that make you get up in the morning, have a little bit of passion about, and see where you're doing something good.
Yeah,
and
something for
really
the broader
important.
good of society versus improve some efficiency inside of a company, which are all things that are important. But we are all humans. We're all part of this thing called a society, and we all want to leave it better than we found it.
Yep.
And the COVID just put the spotlight on some of these challenges. And look, Michael Powell and I talked this morning on the main stage about, the whole rural broadband piece. And Michael and I are both extremely passionate about how do you solve the 18% of homes that do not have broadband.
Yep.
In the most rural parts of our country, and just saying they're rural, so therefore they doesn't fly. We're fortunate in the fact that our industry has invested billions and billions and billions of dollars over the years to try to close in on those things, but
it used to be a lot more than 18%, right?
Yeah, it was in the high 20s for a long time. We've narrowed the gap, but those kinds of projects, man, I tell you, you get the employees, give them a mission, it's amazing.
Yeah, no, our customers are so passionate about this, and it's wonderful. And I go home and I tell my wife and my kids about the passion our customers have to solve the problem and bring broadband everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's you talk about rural America. It's also tribal or nation America, right?
Yep.
And it's so many challenges in so many places. We've still got to bring broadband, which is maybe not quite a utility, but it's definitely moving in that direction where you can't be functional as a community without it.
Well, I've learned this term from Ron Duncan, who's the CEO at GCI in Alaska, and
Yeah.
Edward Rogers from Rogers Communications, who's the chairman of my board. You know, there's broadband, there's rural broadband, and then there's frontier broadband. Frontier, not the company.
Yep.
But you get up into the oil fields.
Yep.
And it's a whole, or GCI just finished out their fiber, oceanic fiber out to the very far tip of the Aleutians. And you go up there and you see what it took or what it takes to serve those customers, and to make those. You're not doing it for economic benefit.
No.
You're doing it because it's the right thing.
It's the right thing. It's for the community.
Right.
Otherwise, those communities will be gone.
And we all live in these communities,
Yes,
right?
exactly
It's not
right.
about some far off thing. It is, we're part of the community. How do we make life better?
Yep.
Because it's also, I guess particularly now, I've got 5 grandkids, so I drive my daughters crazy because I'm like all focused on the grandkid, like no smartphone, no social media. I don't care how, they don't, because what our kids, and what, in my case, my grandkids, are facing, what the next generation is going into,
Yeah.
it's scary.
Yeah.
It is.
We need to protect them.
Right.
We definitely need to protect them and make sure that they're not only protected for things they see on the internet, but the engagements they have, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's bullying all the time. There's threats all the time. There's all kinds of things where people tell other people, you should go do something to yourself, right? And we have to protect the kids. It's it's part, and for our customers, that's a big part of their mission. They're doing a lot of that, and it's exciting, and it's motivating.
Yeah, it is, and there's been some interesting experiments on some of the AI monitoring tools to try to catch those things. Try to put in human buffers into it. You can't hire enough people.
No.
With everything that is that's going on. So how do you embed intelligence into the network? How do we make the networks smarter? Because I get these calls all the time from friends that are senior executives at companies around the world, and their child, teenager, has gotten themselves into a jam on the digital side. What do you do, and what software should I load on their phone to stop it? And I'm like, okay, here's my general guidance, and this is you can put whatever nanny app you want on that device. Yep. By tomorrow, they'll have cracked it, because they'll go to school and the kids all swap the crack codes to hide themselves away from the nanny apps.
At a certain age, I agree with that. Yeah. You can protect the younger children. Ones,
but you get into that middle school,
especially 8th grade, high school. Yeah,
you're and I've got a 12. My oldest grandchild's a 12-year-old. My daughter, who's listening to this, she's gonna chop my head off. But for her, it's you look at her, you look what's going on in society. It can be, it can be a scary thing.
Yeah.
And I think it asks the question. It asks the question for all of us that are innovators. Just because you can innovate something, should you innovate something?
It's a great question.
And I don't think some companies, organizations, teams, individuals ever consider that.
Yeah.
They think they can innovate. Look, did Mark Zuckerberg understand or think about the ramifications of social media? No.
He didn't know it.
But he didn't know it.
Yeah.
But now he's a father.
Yeah. Start thinking differently.
Yeah. Think about those unintended consequences. Right?
Well, and all the debates around AI right now, right? I mean, where we go, some people are calling for us to halt. I don't know how you stop it on the flip side, Phil.
So how are your customers banging on you guys for AI work to be done as part of your solutions?
I would say in general they're curious about AI. I wouldn't say that they're banging for solutions. They're interested to understand how it can help them. And we're putting some basic automation in,
right?
Where automated provisioning, automated recovery, things like that. Not AI yet. So we're exploring it. We've got some development or some research on it right now. But I wouldn't say customers are banging for it yet. They're interested.
I'll tell you, the curiosity factor's through the roof.
They're very interested.
We've got an AI team at Cable Labs headed up by Dr. Bernardo Huberman. And I've known Bernardo for 20 years. He's a PhD applied physicist, I convinced them to leave Stanford to come to Cable Labs like 6 years ago. And we have a phenomenal team. And you just think about 6-7 years ago when we first started our AI work at Cable Labs, to the amount of phone calls and emails I get on a daily basis
on this subject.
Yeah. You know, the fact that now it's so easily accessible by everybody and anybody.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, today at lunch here at the show, I introduced a company that deals with identifying deepfakes. Deepfakes on the video, deepfakes on text. So can you go through an article or a book and determine whether or not it's AI generated or not?
Interesting.
And what he was commenting on specifically was the fact that the deepfakes that we're seeing are not coming from big, powerful tools. It's what he would call cheap fakes. You know, they cost them 20 cents.
Really?
To do this, to do a video type of thing. And you're seeing it with, in fact, in my case, with the show, we're 19 seasons. I probably got 3,000 hours of audio freely available for anybody to download and create a deep fake on
your show.
And they could use it as training data and then have me say anything.
Yep.
They gave an example today where they were going to do a deep fake of me, and they're like, we're not going to do that. And so
probably better not.
Right. So they did this. So they did this just fake person who said they were the CEO for Cable Labs. Please, it's urgent. You need to get this $2 million wire transfer done as a voice call. And I leaned over to the person and I said, well, it wouldn't work at Cable Labs. And they're like, why? I says, even though I'm the CEO, I'm unauthorized to do that. We've purposely have set that up because I get targeted.
Yeah.
I get every, phishing attempt known to man, and I have no login credentials. You get my ID, you get to the email and my calendar. You don't get the financial systems, HR systems, nothing.
Yep.
And what you find is you got to almost air gap your senior leaders away from all these systems
because
they're going to be the target.
Yeah.
And if they do get hacked, because some of these phishing examples are really, really good, they don't become your back door to get in.
Yep.
And it's crazy, all this stuff that is just absolutely going on. So as we wrap up, I got my one last question. Well, actually, I got two questions really quick.
Good.
I understand you're from Chicago.
I am.
I am from Chicago
Are
also.
you really?
Where at?
I grew up on the northwest side near Harlem and Irving.
Yeah, you're a Cubs guy.
Is there any other team in Chicago? There's no other baseball team.
My cap is probably back on my bed. I grew up 185th south of Halstead. So I'm a Southsider, deep Southsider. So I'm a Sox guy.
Sox guy.
Sorry interesting enough, my brother was a Cubs guy.
Yeah. My whole family's a Cubs family. So I grew up on Waveland Avenue, about 2 miles from Wrigley.
Oh, my best friend lives in Wrigleyville.
Yeah.
And he's lived there his entire life. And we get this battle all the time. He ships me Cub stuff all the time.
I'm going to remember that.
Yeah.
I'd like to ship you Cubs winning gear right now, but we aren't doing that so good.
Yeah, the Sox
Neither are the Cubs.
The Sox aren't killing it either, right?
Yeah.
Last question is the question I like to ask people, just to kind of want to throw you off base a little bit, but also to think a little bit, and also be something that kind of gets the audience thinking a little bit. What is it you're most curious about now, and why?
No, that's a great question. Most curious about is probably one of the things we talked about in here, AI and the impact of AI and where is it going to go. It's a technology that's bound to come, regardless of how we want to try to regulate it. It's going to come because there's going to be other people, and then how will the bad actors use it? And that's probably the thing I'm most interested in and most concerned about. When you say curious, it's probably because that's what you're concerned about.
It's the What is it that it's the unknown at this point?
Exactly.
And
it may work out like every other technology, right? With every technology ever was not greeted warmly. So it'll probably work itself out, but it is an interesting one to think through. And we've all seen all the movies about the end of the world and how the computers are coming to get us, the Terminator movies and all that, right? So it's something to wonder about. But that's probably the number one thing. I listen to podcasts and do a little studying around that stuff.
Yeah. Well, Ken, I want to thank you for your time coming off the show floor, spend a little time with us here on the bus, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Phil. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And that's a wrap on this week's episode of Killer Innovations. I'm so glad you decided to join me on this expedition. I fully appreciate your time and interest in our podcast, where we always strive to bring you valuable insights, inspiring stories, and thought-provoking discussions from the world of technology and innovation. But before we sign off, we'd like to request your support in spreading the word about our podcast. Your support is invaluable to us, and it's as simple as sharing the podcast with your network. Whether that's colleagues, students, friends, every share makes a difference. You can share a favorite episode on social media or recommend us in your professional circles. Every share, like, and comment helps us grow our community and reach more innovation enthusiasts just like you. Remember, innovation is not a solitary pursuit. It is a team sport. It thrives in collaborative environments, which is what we're trying to build here, a community of passionate individuals who believe in the transformative power of innovation. If you've enjoyed today's episode and find our content helpful, please consider us leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback not only helps us improve our content, but it also helps other listeners discover it. And don't forget to sign up for the weekly newsletter if you haven't already. By doing this, you'll receive a regular dose of innovation-related insights, recommendations, and exclusive content right to your inbox. Visit philmckinney.com and click on membership. And again, thank you for taking the time to listen to Killer Innovations. We are incredibly grateful for your support, and we can't wait to bring you more exciting content in the next episode. Until then, keep innovating, and remember, at the end of the day, it's all about sharing, learning, and growing together. Stay tuned and let that innovative spirit change the world. Bye-bye.
Podcasting nonstop since 2005, this has been the Killer Innovation Show on the Innovators Network.
This show is distributed by the Innovators Network. For more information and other great shows and content, visit theinnovators.network.